Now, Donald Trump is heading to New York today ahead of his unprecedented court case on charges related to where the money came from for payments to the porn star Stormy Daniels during the 2016 election campaign. Let's get the take of this pair now. It's bound to be exciting. Lawyer, political women's rights activist Dr. Shola is with us. Also, Scotty joining us, I think, from Nashville. Oh, no, she's in New York. Fantastic. It's good to see both of you ladies. Thanks very much indeed for joining us. Let's start with you, Scotty, first. We started with Shola last week. It's going to be quite the spectacle tomorrow, isn't it? Whose fault is it?
Well, it's really interesting because I think what this is showing this morning, Kay, is the incompetency of the Manhattan DA. I mean, look at this. It's taken almost 8 years since this event allegedly took place to find the right DA, the right courtroom, the right jury, which we still don't know very many details about this jury, if they've met in person or via Zoom, all to pull off this sham of an indictment. You know, there's no new evidence that's been presented. Everything we've known has been out in the open for almost 8 years. And now it's actually coming to head, despite it already being a lost case where Stormy Daniels actually had to pay Donald Trump, despite this actually being thrown out of a federal court. And also, most importantly, the fact that this didn't even affect the election in the first place because Donald Trump was still elected. This is going to continue just to be a storyline that because of Donald Trump, we're actually finding out details, because if it was left up to the Manhattan DA, the gag order would continue, except it would be on the DA himself as he continues to remain silent about what actually is going on and why he's actually going after Donald Trump in the first place.
Dr. Shola, even Democrats think that this is potentially not the right one to go out on a limb for. There are several other cases that President Trump faces, including what happened in Georgia when he asked the governor to look for another 8,500 votes or thereabouts. Is this really the right one for him?
We don't have to prioritize which of Donald Trump's numerous criminal allegations that should be prosecuted first. That's not how the law should work. And, you know, I hear what Scotty is saying. She's basically implying that, oh my God, this is such a sham and it's a political persecution. This is not a political persecution. It is a criminal prosecution. District attorneys don't indict people. Jurors do. And the grand jury here, based on the evidence presented to them, have indicted Trump, and rightly so if the evidence is there. Justice is meant to be blind, people. It's not meant to be a respect of a person's status. It's utterly irrelevant that Donald Trump is a former president or the next presidential candidate. As far as I'm concerned, the only status that applies here is his status, the status of the crime that he's alleged to have committed. And just to go to your point, Kate, I need us to also understand that when Democrats are talking about which is the right case, and Democrats are not the only ones, Republicans are too, the charges being brought against Donald Trump, we will know more about these charges by tomorrow, because they're meant to be about 30 or more. And whether or not these charges can be brought, of course, one of the factors that will determine that is the statute of limitations. But look, Trump formally changed his residency from New York to Florida in October 2019. And a district attorney would be able to legitimately argue that this will toll or, in other words, stop the clock on New York's statute of limitations. So if there was a charge that was 5 years, that has a 5 year statute of limitations, that would have been stopped by 2019 when he moved. The point here is whether or not it is a hush money to Stormy Daniels to silence her about the affair, attempt to overturn Georgia's 2020 elections, inciting the January 6th insurrection, the classified documents probe in Mar-a-Lago, or the fraud investigation against his organization. Every single one of them should be prosecuted because they're all crimes, period. I don't understand why we have
alleged crimes. Dr. Shola, let's say alleged crimes, because he's not been convicted of any of them at the moment. Scotty, how will appearing in court tomorrow impact on his campaign to be president again in 2024?
Well, probably about as effective as this gag order that's being threatened right now by not only the DA's office, but a judge. I mean, it just once again shows the worry the Democrats have of Donald Trump getting out there, who is the most effective speaker on the campaign trail, who's already raised almost $5 million since this indictment came down. So if I could just look at what history has shown us over the past week, it's only going to not only solidify Trump's base, but also bring over those independents that are going, wait a minute, why are you continuously, and it is going to get old to the voters. It is going to see when you continue to put the case after case after case. It's just proving the point that Donald Trump has said since 2016 that he has been a target, and they're going to do everything they can to silence him. If he was not worrying them so much, then why are they going to such extent and so desperate to shut him up?
Okay, so Donald Trump, there's a reason why Donald Trump is a one-term president. I agree with Scotty that it will solidify his base of the politically illiterate. We expect nothing better from them, okay? And I doubt if independents will be rushing to vote for a man that they did not vote for how many years ago. So nobody should be worried about that. The problem, the reason he has a gag order probably is because of his attempt to, raise his base to come and protest. Another example of how he incited the January 6th insurrection. So nobody is desperate to indict Trump or to take him to court. What they're trying to do is exercise the law. It's the right thing, and we know that justice can be slow, but it must not be denied, Scotty. So right now, any of those criminal allegations that come in against Trump, if he did not commit the crime, he won't do the time. What are you so worried about?
It's not me worried about it. And this is a case that has already been
worried
out multiple times out of case. Far from it. And let me just point out, I would never, as much as I might disagree with Democrats, I would never insult them. And so calling Republican and Trump voters politically illiterate is absolutely insulting. And I think you're actually above that, Dr. Scholl. I don't think that's not right to call.
No, Scotty.
They're right. To call them illiterate just because they don't agree with you, that's below the belt. And that, I think, is the problem with the Democrat Party on this, because they continue to throw insults and they bully. And in this case, the bully's not going to work. The bully has stood up to them, the bigger bully, and you're just trying to silence them.
Rubbish. That is utter rubbish, with all due respect.
You're the one calling names. You're the one calling names, Shola. Why do that? I would never insult your base like that.
Day. Republicans call names every single day. They use derogatory language every single day. They use the vice.
But I don't. You don't. We're setting the example, Shola. We don't need to doing that. That's petty.
Don't study. Listen to me. You might learn something. I will use the words that fit the circumstances. Anyone who decides to use their democratic right to support values that are not real values, values that are divisive, values that are racist, values that go against other people's right to live an equal value of life and liberty, and they're responding to dog whistles. Yes, they are politically illiterate. I mean, there's no other word for it.
That's wrong. This is why we have such anger in the world right now. Because you're throwing names, you're throwing insults, and that does not help the conversation.
What is the time, ladies? Scotty?
If they're insulted or feel offended, very good.
I'm very offended.
Because how offensive it is to the rest of us about what they're doing.
I'm not calling names, Shola. You are.
I've told you, I've used the appropriate name.
No, okay. Scotty, stand by, Dr. Shola. Scotty, your turn.
Well, and that's the thing, and that's why I think we need to set a better example, especially right now. I get it. I get it. We're very passionate on both sides of it, but we're above the name calling. And this is the thing about Donald Trump that I think is going to be really interesting tomorrow. This is unprecedented. We've never done this before. And I would really hope that tomorrow that we would cover this and give it, keep the emotion out of it. And let's just stick to the facts. And the fact that this idea of a gag order coming down from a judge is just absolutely insulting and will, like everything else, backfire. Because the only way that we know things are going on, because Donald Trump's saying it, it's not necessarily coming from the Justice Department.
Okay. Ladies, we must leave it there. Fascinating as always. I'm sure that we'll get you on later on the week to find out what happened when the president appeared in court tomorrow, I should say. Thanks for now, ladies. Thanks very much indeed. Of course, we will cover that for you. It's expected to be about 2:15 time in New York, so about 7:15. There you go. I can do the maths. Here in the UK, of course, we will cover that for you live here on Sky News. A few hours after that, President Trump is heading back down to Mar-a-Lago to make a speech and perhaps some political capital of that as well. Stay tuned for more here on Sky.